everyone, welcome to the episode 3 of this podcast. I didn't know that we'd get so far. Honestly, I thought this would be a one-time thing, but we've come here. And I think today's guest needs no introduction. Everyone know him as the stand-up comedian. But actually, to be honest, I didn't know this stand-up comedy scene at all. So only my dad and my brother used to watch. And then they'll be like, hey, come no, Jaina, watch this guy. He's really funny. Then I'll be like, okay. And then I saw him and then I was like, oh yeah, he is funny. And then it was really nice. So I don't think I should give an introduction to him. I think most of you know him. But you can tell a little bit about yourself, Naveen. Like, what do you do? I think you recently just got married to your beautiful wife and your, I don't know where, are you based in Kerala? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm based in Kerala, that's right. As I look out the window, I see the stereotypical Kerala tree, which you might think is a coconut tree, but it's actually a rubber. All right, so there's a stereotype people get wrong. If you're gonna make fun of us, say, "Oh, what are you, a rubber something?" Anyway, so I'm in Kerala, and I've been a stand-up comedian for 12 years, or an actor. Yeah, stand-up comedian. I think the generic term is comedian for 12 something years now.
But like, okay, so it's very crazy. I think you were a law student, right? So how did you like make that drastic change like from law to stand-up comedy? Like, it's a very odd thing. It's not even slightly related.
How did I jump into it? I guess you gotta ask, well, why did I jump into law first? I think I wanted to do journalism because I thought that'll be a creative. I knew I was a little creative and I wasn't good with physics and math. So I thought I'll take journalism, but my father thought it would be wise to do something that has more scope. If you do journalism, he said this, if you do journalism, you only have to do journalism in life. But if you do law, you can then become a journalist or you can do many things because that degree holds more value. No disrespect to journalism students, all right? It's my own dad's opinion. So then I thought, okay, I guess. So I took up law. But very soon, I found that I was very average in my interests in law, but my classmates seemed to be grasping things and they seemed to be into it, but I wasn't finding it very interesting. So I started doing theatre when I was in law college, and that theatre moved to stand-up comedy. So in the daytime, I would be in law college, and the evenings I'll be doing the theatre or comedy. So when I finished law school, I just smoothly transitioned into this kind of full-time, because I was getting paid a little bit of money, like 10,000, 15,000 a month. So I thought, let me just continue doing this. Because I'm like, well, if I do law, I'll be a pretty average lawyer. I mean, I know I'm not so stupid that I'll fail in being a lawyer, but I'll be very average. I'm not going to stand out. But I think if I did comedy, I would stand out. So
that's when you went into it. So would you say like that is how you found out your purpose? Like, I know now recently, like you just got saved, and would you say that your purpose changed after that, or like how you're trying to integrate both your faith and purpose together? I don't know. Is that what it is?
What am I supposed to do? And I don't know. Sometimes I look back and think, man, how did I end up doing stand-up comedy? Like, because I don't know if you do this. You trace back your life and like, well, what if I'd made that other decision? Man, where would I be? Like, if I'd continued being in Coimbatore instead of going to boarding school, what if I had taken up engineering? And if I went into engineering college, would I have met a friend who did theatre, and then I wouldn't have gone to theatre, right? And then I think, well, what if I took journalism and my dad didn't advise me to do journalism, not to do journalism. If I took journalism, I might have again not ended up doing theatre, then stand-up comedy. My life would have been somewhere else. So it's strange and divine how God does this. I don't know if everyone's been at the receiving end of this kind of grace, but I know I was, this divine guidance even before I fully knew God. But that said, even stand-up, being a stand-up comedian is not going to give you fulfillment. If you think that, if only I think if I become a photographer, I'll feel fulfilled. But no, you will not. And if you think you're in the wrong field, you may be in the wrong field, but just because you get into the right field, I don't think you're really going to find ultimate fulfillment. You will only find the temporary fulfillment while you're doing that job. But yeah, and the ultimate highest calling and purpose that everybody has, and I hope everyone discovers, is to serve God. And that is the only thing that will fulfill you. Once you start doing that, actually, it won't matter whether you're a comedian or an accountant or a farmer. You'll find joy in any of these things, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like God has a plan. Like I remember, like even 2 years back, I was so set on, okay, I'll become a doctor and I'll serve God and help people through that. That's my purpose. I've discovered it all. And I feel like I was writing down my vision and I was telling God, see, this is mine. This is how I'm going to help you. So just like help me get through this, I'll help you then. And I feel like sometimes we are so stuck up on our own plans that we don't actually step back and just like ask God, like, okay, what do you want me to do? And how can I be a blessing where I am? So it doesn't necessarily have to go a certain way. So now I'm sure like you're still doing stand-up comedy and I'm sure people are getting blessed through that. I think your purpose in your heart, it's not, now I won't find a gratification if I become a comedian or I don't want to win. I think you've told many times I don't want to win 2 Oscars and all. But I feel like you just have to ask God what does He want you to do in your life. So that's how I think many of my generation people are like just so aimless in life and they all wonder, okay, I want to do something now, and they come up with crazy stuff. Like they start becoming influencers and stuff like that, and they see instant gratification has become a big thing of our generation. They want things now. So how would you advise someone who wants things now, but maybe God has a different plan for them, or maybe they have to just wait patiently? I feel like something which we all can work better on is just waiting.
Waiting is a wonderful lesson to learn, and if you will allow God, and if you say, God, teach me how to wait, I think He'll be really, really happy. I had to wait. Even when you want to do a good thing, and you're like, God, this is a good thing I want to do. I want to literally go and take maggots out of the wounds of villagers. Won't you let me go? Can it have a more selfless purpose than this? And you're like, why, God? This is completely selfless. Why won't you let me go? And still God will know that you're not ready for it yet. And He loves the fact that you want to do it. But there's things in your personality that needs to be corrected. And often people think that you're being made to wait. Okay, for what? And they're like, okay, God's teaching me patience. Yes. What else? Even more than that, He's trying to shape something in your character that you think you're sorted with, but you're far from it. And so often He makes you wait till you come to the end of yourself and you give up and you're like, all right, I don't care. Whatever you want, God. And once you come to the point of, all right, whatever you want, I'm sick of waiting. And also, often when we wait, I've learned that God will allow us to see all the ideas of the things that we wanted. Like, you're like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. And then sometimes we convince ourselves that God is telling us to do this, right? And we do it, and God will allow us to do it and then feel the disappointment of that not working out. So He allows us to see He's gracious enough. So that's where waiting is good at. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I feel like life's a puzzle kind of, like we can't understand now, but by the end of our lives, a beautiful picture will be formed by each of the puzzle pieces. So there'll be like different puzzle pieces on the way. And sometimes it'll be like, okay, nothing's matching. It's not going according to my plan or this thing, but later on you'll be able to understand. Yeah, that's what you said is really true.
Yeah.
Okay, on a funnier note, I want to ask you, so have you ever been in a point like on the stage where your jokes didn't work? Like your jokes didn't work and people are not laughing. So how do you deal with that? I don't know. It's like a very serious doubt I had.
It happens even when you're reached the point of having let's say you're the best comedian and you have these 10 jokes which work every time. You could end up on a stage where the audience is different, or the sound is weird, or you're in just not the right mood, and sometimes the jokes don't land like they're supposed to, or the jokes aren't received like you're supposed to. So it's kind of out of your control at times, but at the same time, it's under your control. So often if a joke hasn't landed, it takes so many years of practice of standing on stage and having jokes not work for you to not freak out at that moment. It's easy to start freaking out. And if you're not on stage enough times, let's say I've taken a 3-month break and I get on stage and then a bunch of jokes don't work, my muscle memory is kind of slowed down. So I'm like, oh no, that joke didn't work. Okay, let's hope that. And then you start getting nervous and then the audience can see it on you. But if you're on stage constantly, your muscle memory is warm. So even if a joke doesn't work, you feel like you own the stage enough to address it and move on. You never get nervous, right? You don't get thrown off. It's funny when you're on stage, there are so many thoughts going on at once. Like at one time you're telling the joke, right? So one part of your mind is telling the joke, getting the time. One more part of your mind is saying, oh no, that joke didn't work. Maybe the next joke will. So at the same time that you're thinking another thought, your mouth is saying something. Now another thought is from the back saying, hey, stop getting distracted. Come back to the moment. So, yeah.
I mean, in real life also, okay, for you it's jokes. I mean, in real life, like, how do you deal with failure? I think that's also one more thing. I mean, for you, maybe, okay, I think you've dealt with much more failure than a joke not working. I think that's a you can't compare that. But how do you like deal with failure? I struggle with that still. I mean, most people struggle with dealing with failure. So what advice will you give for that?
Well, I think I should compare how I dealt with failure before I met God, after I met God. Before I met with God, I always use this as an example. There was one stand-up comedy show I did which didn't turn out the way I wanted. Even though so many people helped and it got bad ratings, I wasn't happy with my performance. The audience knew it wasn't good. People said, this guy's a better actor than he's a stand-up comedian. All these things, it plagued me for 3-4 years. It ate into my self-confidence. And even though people were respecting me a lot for, let's say, all my other talents, this was still eating me up. Like, I need to prove to the world that I am also a great stand-up comedian. And people are like, what's his problem? He's pretty famous and he's getting so many acting jobs. But that failure always haunted me. And so I made it a point. I said, okay, I'm going to come back somehow. And so I took 7-8 months to write my next special. I said, okay, what are all the mistakes I made last time? I took it too lightly. I was not being myself. I didn't put enough hard work into that last special. So, okay, I studied the pattern of my behavior that led up to that special. And then I tried to correct it, right? So one of the things I learned was that the last special, one of the specials I did, I was trying to do too many things and doing the stand-up comedy special. And I learned that you can't do 3 different creative things and hope to nail all of them. You do one thing at a time. So that's what I did. I took 8 months and I wrote a new one. And then that special turned out really good. It was critically acclaimed and I felt very happy with it. But after I met with God, if I did mess up something really bad, I don't think I'll care so much what the world thinks. Because earlier I was thinking about what the world thinks of. How will people think of me? Which is a very, very... It's hard to control what the world's going to think of you, right? But basically your own ego is hurt. Now if I failed at something, I will ask God, did I do less than what you expected of me? Or could I have done better in your eyes? He's the only one I feel answerable to. Like if I did something and it's turned out the way I think God wanted it to, and it still failed like commercially or the box office or critically, I don't think I'll be bothered by it. But I will only be careful. How if God is pleased with the way I executed it.
Yeah, and I feel like people should not take things too seriously as well. I mean, like, okay, especially like small things, like they fail an exam and then people people really get suicidal and stuff like that. And then I'm like, hey, why are you doing all this? There's so much more in life. Like you can handle failure better if you also like have a broader perspective of what life is. It's not only about the small things like which come in front of you, like an exam or something. There are much bigger things in life. So I feel like even that your perspective helps. Like if you have a good perspective of the situation and how there are much more serious things in life, then I feel like you can handle failure better.
But Pawan, I mean, who knows what kind of parents they have that are making them think, there's so many factors, right? Like your parents, have you got the unconditional love of your parents? And if you haven't, then. So there are so many things. And also you have the perspective of having something like the worst thing that can happen to you, that threat to your own life. So everything else looks small. So, but for others, an exam can seem, like the worst thing.
I feel like, I have to actually come to that perspective sometimes. I feel like I've seen too much in I'm quite young, I've seen lots. So I feel like, I understand that.
So then, so then how can you help your friends? I think it is, let's say you do have a friend who is going through this kind of pressure, then if they are not getting unconditional love from their parents or society, then we should go out of our way to unconditionally love them, right? So they feel that value.
But there are also some over-ambitious children. They get unconditional love and everything. I mean, they have no problems at home whatsoever.
That's true.
There are some cases, okay? I mean, we need not...
That is true.
So that is...
You're right.
Yeah. But like, see, I feel like you were just saying also, identity, like, okay, I don't care what people think about me. I think that also comes... I think with maturity, I don't think everyone has that right now. I feel like people are, our age children are like just people pleasers. They want to go and please everyone just to fit in one group. Okay, you'll be left out if you don't do this stuff. If you don't smoke, you'll be out of this group. Stuff like that. How do you not give in to peer pressure and stand up for what you believe in and be confident of yourself? I mean, like, you need not please others. So what would you say to those kind of people?
Yeah, people pleasing, right? Yeah, this is something I often talk to young people about. I ask them, okay, what is cool? And I asked this within a little small group in Delhi to a bunch of teenagers. I said, what is cool? What makes someone cool? And the person I least expected to speak, and some kid in the back said, well, the people who are cool are the people who do what they want without not caring about what people think about you. That's what is cool. Those are the coolest people. I said, and you're like, yeah, you're right. The kids in school or the kids who are like, I don't care what the teacher thinks of me, man. I'll do what I want. And you respect him because you're like, wow, he doesn't care what the teacher thinks. But often those kids really care what you think of them. If you started calling them out on something, that would really affect them inside. So they have a problem with authority, so they pretend like they don't care what the authority says, but at the end of the day, they want love. So then I said to these kids, I said, okay, these kids on Instagram, they seem really cool. They're like, yeah. So, but you know how badly they want you to like them? Do you think that's cool? And they're like, no, it's not cool if you're so needy, all right, for people's validation. Right? They're like, yeah, you're right. All those people we think are cool on Instagram are really not cool because they're trying hard all the time, putting the camera in their face. And then I say, those kids on Instagram who are so cool because they just do whatever, but they look like they don't care. They're like, yeah, what about those kids? I said, those kids are also lame because even they're pretending not to care what society says. But why they are recording themselves and putting on Instagram? Even if you're like, you could have two attitudes on Instagram. Hey guys, what's up? I'm back to Instagram. Then you're like, oh, that's lame because you're putting in so much energy. You can also say, hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode. Dude, even those guys have done at least 2-3 takes. Okay. And if they were really so secure of themselves, what are they trying to say? And even those people can get caught up in the trap of Instagram. So I'm saying, I found that the only people who really cool are the ones who know what the right thing to do is and stand up for the truth and for what is right, even when all of society calls them out for it. Like there's a joke I do in my stand-up special. I kind of did it at a Christmas outreach, and one person of a different faith came and told me this stood out to him. I said, we live in a biryani versus salad culture. Everyone is like trying to be biryani, and biryani personalities are like the people in class, obviously extroverted. Hey, what's up, yo? And people like, hey, biryani, and what's up? How's it going, man? And everyone's like, yeah, we all want to be like you, dude. But then the salad people in class are the people you only go to during exams. Like, hey, you have notes, huh? Give me some notes, bro. But I'm like, what? See, the thing is, biryani is nice once in a while. But can you have too much of biryani? Yes, too much of biryani is bad, and salad is good. Can you have too much of salad? Probably not. So the right thing to do is actually to eat salad. But everyone says if you eat salad in public, you're lame because you care about your health. But when you go out for a meal, you should order biryani like everyone else because that's the cool thing to do. So I'm saying it's cool to not do the right thing in society. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like when you're in school and someone is studying very early for the exams, people will be like, hey, why are you studying so early, dude? Lame, you care about your life.
Those people go home and study.
They also go. The same thing I'm telling you, you'll watch when you go to work, when they have a work party and you don't drink, they'll be like, why are you not drinking, bro? It's like it's almost cool to not do. The right thing to do is to study, is to not get drunk and make a fool of yourself. But it's cool, you know what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, you have to stand up for the truth.
I think you don't need validation from anyone else. I feel like, if you're confident of your identity and who God has made you, God has made like only one person. There's only one person like you in this entire world. So I feel like you can be confident with yourself, and if you get the validation from people, okay, you will be happy like for a few minutes, but I feel like in the end you're alone. Like I feel like after like I felt sick, I came to know like who are the real people in my life, like who I really value. I mean, everybody's there in the good times when you're drinking and when you're having parties. Everyone will be like, hey, come on, let's do this. But then when you're alone and when you're sick and when you really need them, nobody will be there.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Like in your class friends, after a point, they were like, we can't keep dealing with this. Is that the reaction you got?
I feel like it's not only their fault. I feel like this is like a long disease, no? Like it's really long. Like it just keeps going on.
Yeah.
And after a point, you can't expect everyone to show up for you all the time. You also go missing, no? Like for a while. So yeah, that was, and I found myself friendless. But see, I found myself friendless. I'm confidently saying that I'm very happy being friendless. I don't need any friends. I don't need any validation from people. I'm very happy with the small circle of people I have in my life. And I'm very happy because see, God was there with me during my sickness, and now that I've come out, He's with me. I don't need anything else. So why do you? So that's why I keep telling, like, if somebody comes up to me and then they're like, okay, I don't have any friends, and I'm so much peer pressure is there. Even in college, every day there's so much peer pressure. But it's okay to be like that. You'll find your own set of people who believe in the same things as you do. And so you need not give in to the small temptations which will actually do you no good. So stuff like that. Yeah. So what you said is really, like, I don't know about you also. I think you are in the entertainment industry. That's the most, I don't know what to say. It's the most, what do I say? It's the most, I think vulgar industry. I don't know. Like there's everything. It's access to everything you want.
Yeah.
How do you take a stand? How do you like stand for what you say? Okay, this is where I draw the line. I can't cross this.
Yeah. Well, God in one way made it easy for me because I met with God during the beginning of the lockdown. So I was just kind of pulled out of that world. But also, I just felt like I couldn't stay in that city of Bombay because I'm like, man, everything around me is just is jarring to the eyes. Maybe the language people are using or the kind of parties people would be in. I just felt like I needed to come back and be around people who understood God. So I think the Christian word we use is fellowship. I did not know this word. Nobody brainwashed me into thinking I needed fellowship. My heart, my spirit said, go back to that little village in Kerala where other people know God. So I came back here. And I think that's one of the things that kept me safe, is to be in touch with like-minded people. So if you are in the entertainment industry and you're constantly surrounded by that, I mean, there's enough proverbs and verses in the Bible to say, choose your friends wisely. So I think that one mistake even Christians do, or anyone does, is if you're constantly surrounded by those people, slowly your morals will degrade and your reasoning and your logic will tempt you to, it's like when you wake up in the morning for an exam and you keep justifying to yourself, no, if I wake up after 3 minutes also, I can finish the portions. Your mind justifies because it's weak. So to be around the right people is one. And like I said, God's grace gives you the courage to stand up for the truth and not compromise. Yeah, usually money is the thing that's most tempting, right? Like if you just continued selling these kind of products, you can make so much money. Or if you just continue doing this, you can make so many more friends. If the compromise gives you something. But if you do not compromise, you get more of God. You get more understanding of God. You get more revelation of God. You get more light. You get to experience more of Him. And when you look at it like that, it's an easy trade, But yeah, because God makes life much more exciting, to be honest, than what the world offers. Like, let's say, okay, you're in the entertainment industry. There's drugs or whatever, whatever temptations come in the entertainment industry is giving you excitement, right? And you're thinking, man, what if I don't choose this? My life will be boring. No, I found this, that in the time that I've started following God, my life has become exponentially more exciting, but not artificially more exciting, because the excitement the world provides is artificial excitement. It's like, hey, let's go on a hike up this mountain. What's on top of the mountain? Nothing. Just we'll take selfies and come down. But when you work with God, He'll take you on a hike up a mountain to help or give clothes to someone up on that mountain, to worship with people on top of a mountain. I've gone on those kind of hikes. Earlier, when I would go drive a race car around a racetrack to get adrenaline, it's okay, but I'm saying it's artificial. But I got more excitement driving a beat-up car filled with clothes for an orphanage. And we had to drive through like a dust storm with lightning, right? That was much more exciting because it had purpose. So it's purpose-filled excitement versus purposeless excitement. But you have to say no to that purposeless excitement first, and then God will give you the purpose-filled excitement.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think if you just choose not to compromise your values now, then it really makes a big difference. And I feel like even people who achieved success young, you see most of these, I mean, I don't know, all of these young people who just like come up suddenly in life, at the top, they are still very lonely. They feel like, okay, I've got everything I want, but I still don't have that satisfaction of fulfillment I thought I'll get. But, and that's why many of them just like commit suicide, and they're like, okay, I had everything, but I still didn't feel happy. I feel like only God can give you that happiness, and He can fill you with that joy. Yeah, so that is there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, just if anyone here is watching and they feel like maybe I should try this influencer lifestyle. I mean, as a former influencer who has tasted that milkshake of success or fame or whatever, you might say, "Oh, Naveen, you have not got 1 million followers. You only got 135,000 followers." I'd be like, yeah, but it's the same milkshake. It's just a bigger milkshake or a smaller milkshake. Finally, strawberry milkshake tastes like strawberry milkshake, 1 liter or 500 ml. Anyway, so I say, but one thing I noticed is that there is a short shelf life. The world, either through Instagram or the world through your record label or the world through the movie industry, will recognize your talent. Okay, now the world is not a person, but it's the spirit of the world, or the entity as such, the consciousness, it'll recognize you, right? You're a special person, and you say, you know what? I feel different. I feel like there's something in me that wants to come out, and then you have this charisma that God gave you, right? Which is meant to be used to influence people to do the right thing. But now the world is like, oh, look at this guy with that tasty charisma. He's a special one. Let's use him. So they will suck all the life out of you, turn it into mindless entertainment, broadcast it to the world. People are like, wow, I want to be like him. But then what happens to you at the end? You just sucked out of life. And so your shelf life, you're done. Well, this guy is, there's no juice left in him. Okay, what's next, right?
Yeah.
So don't let the world use you, The world loves to use and throw you, but God wants to use you and keep you.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be hidden. I feel like it's better to be hidden and be a blessing to one person. And I feel like there are so many great people who we don't know about, and they're doing such a good job. And they don't want the spotlight. They don't want the stage. They just want to be used, and they are okay with being hidden. And I feel like that's such a great thing, especially like in our generation where it's all about the likes and the followers and the shares and
those guys are genuinely greater. I mean, if you did a PPT, let's say you have two TEDx talks. One guy is the biggest YouTuber, whatever, Mr. Beast or something like that. And then another TED talk is of a guy who has not even a YouTube channel, but he's done so much good without telling anyone. Anybody who watches both these will be like, bro, the second guy is kind of greater than the first for sure, but I still want to be like the first guy. We know inside which one is greater, but we don't have the strength to choose the second one because we have never met with God. We've never been set free by Jesus. Unless Jesus comes and sets you free from your own flesh, from your own sin, you'll never have the strength to choose the second one. Some people have the grace to do it, but often it's not.
Yeah, and I feel like you learn it with maturity only. I feel like over time you realize what's important in life, and I feel the sooner you learn it, the better. You need not wait until you're 50 and you're like, oh, this is what I was chasing. Okay, I don't think this is satisfying. I should have learned this sooner. I feel like the earlier you learn it, the better, because then you live a life of purpose, and you live a life not to impress others or not to get validation from people, but you know now what it is about, what life is about. So I feel, that's good. So what do you do? What do you do as your hobby or something? You're in Kerala. I was there. I love Kerala. I was telling my dad, I think from our Kerala trip last year, I've been telling my dad, why are we staying in Mumbai? Mumbai is so polluted. You don't get anything. Kerala, it's trees everywhere, and you're walking around, and each house itself is I don't know, the houses there, the architecture, what architecture?
Yeah.
And in Mumbai, there's no space. So, what do you do in Kerala? It's a nice place.
What do I do over here? So I got into a little bit of farming. It's a very slow, long, again, test your patience. So I do farming. So earlier one of my hobbies was a car modification. Not car modification, but I was really into cars and driving cars. It was an expensive hobby, but slowly I was convicted. I said, this is another pointless. So I got into my fish tank, aquarium kind of stuff. It doesn't take up all my time, but I like to design a sort of landscape inside, and it's something. I think it's a hobby that picked up in the world during the lockdown. A lot of people got into it. I don't spend very much. It's the cheapest system there is, but I like to change the landscape.
Fish are very bad pets, no? They don't even respond.
They don't. That's why I have a dog as well. I have a dog.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The fish are just there because they're kind of like toys, but they move by themselves. If you had G.I. Joes or toys, you'd have to make a thing, but you have to move them. But over here, I set up the thing and then the fish. And then I take my dog for walks.
Yeah, I see you. I love your Instagram stories. All crazy adventures. Your dog will be going in this, I don't know where and all. That fetch one was really funny. You're like, fetch, you want big stick? My dad and me were watching it, we were like literally laughing.
Man, I guess I should get back on Instagram. I've been off it for a long time. I'll get back.
Yeah, no, go to delete. I'm also like currently off it. I feel like sometimes it takes too much of your time also. You get into this mindless scrolling. I recently heard a term. It's called dead scrolling or something. I don't know what's dead
Dude, even the
scrolling.
Prime Minister talked about infinite scrolling.
Our Prime Minister.
Yeah, he talked about it too in some conference to a bunch of youth. I say, well, if he's talking about it, then it's really.
Yeah.
So I delete it on my phone, and the last two specials I've written, I specifically talk about. I've deleted the YouTube app, Instagram app, Facebook app. So my followers are dwindling, but I'm happy. It doesn't. But I've hired a social media manager who I say, you do it and you tell me when to post, I'll post, but I'm not going to keep checking it out throughout the week because I don't have the strength. I'm sorry. I don't have the strength to not scroll. So once a week, I'll post something and delete it.
No, that makes sense. That's a very good thing to do. I feel like it wastes too much of your time. Okay, so now let's just I feel like we should conclude this. Any nuggets, anything you want to give to people? Like, just advice?
Man, I think there's nuggets, too many nuggets in this episode already, dude. A lot of digging to do. Nothing, man. I'm just glad you're doing this, and I'm guessing I wish you would talk more. I think I should interview you, Janita, because I think you have a lot to say.
I've said enough, I feel.
You're a good listener. Unfortunately, you're a good listener. You should talk more.
Oh.
I'll interview you.
I feel like my family would agree otherwise.
You and your sister who talk more.
Definitely me. I feel like I run this family. My sister, everyone I've got on the tip of my fingers. If I say anything, it goes around me.
Yeah. Wow.
There's some advantage which I have to take, right? I feel like I've been through a lot. I mean, you can say sometimes, so sometimes I'm like, Pa, I've gone through so much, Pa. I mean, and then I get what if I want also that way. Then my sister's like, hey, Jaina, don't breathe.
It's kind of like I mean, when I have fever, I have the right not to get up to open the door. I can ask for water, everything, right? I guess for you, it's constantly like that.
It's constantly like that. No, but I like to be self-sufficient also. Like, I'm not like all the time like, okay, this is what I have. I'm trying to find an identity besides that, because now I feel like everyone knows me as the sick girl. So then in college and all, I don't my life is completely different. So nobody knows about it. A few teachers and stuff like that, they know because sometimes I'm absent and all. But otherwise, I'm like trying to dissociate myself from this as far as possible. Like, okay, I have to find an identity around it. I can't be. Whenever I go to the hospital, most of the times my mom comes with me. So they're like, who's the patient? Then I'm like, oh, I'm the patient. Stuff like that. Yeah.
True. I think one thing you don't have is that self-victimization. I think there are people who have much less problems, but they play the victim and it can get kind of burdensome to be around them. You don't have that. So that's awesome, Janita.
Thanks. Right. Yeah. Thanks for coming into this episode. I feel like it was a really nice conversation which I had with you. And I just asked my dad. My dad was like, why don't you interview Naveen? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. So I did that. And thanks for agreeing. I'm sure people would be blessed. I hope you have a nice time. Nice time with your wife. And you're just recently married, no? I mean, just 6 months?
Yeah, thanks for coming. By the way, guys, Janita came from a wedding with her sister. And what did you think? Did you have fun? I hope you had fun coming all the way.
Yeah, it was very nice. We went to Alapi also because of that. It was really nice. We had a good time. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.